This is Danish English special report on Middle East conflict echoes in Denmark. Greetings and welcome to Danish-InfoNews TV. In this special edition, we explore how the ongoing conflict in the Middle East is echoing here in Denmark, from rising antisemitism and hate crimes to demonstrations across the country, and its impact on sports and society. Stay with us as we break down the facts, the figures, and the voices behind the headlines. Rising antisemitism and hate crimes in Denmark. Let's look at timeline and responses. Let's look at the genesis of the conflict. This began October 7th of 2023, Hamas terror attack on Israel. Hamas launched a large-scale coordinated attack on Israel, killing approximately 1,200 people and taking over 250 hostages, including civilians. The attack marked the beginning of a new and deadly escalation in the Gaza-Israel conflict, sparking global attention and outrage. This event triggered a sharp rise in anti-Semitic incidents worldwide, including in Denmark. Danish Jews reported increased harassment, threats, and physical attacks. The Jewish community began to take precautionary measures such as concealing religious symbols in public and avoiding visible displays of their identity. 1st of May 2024, pro-Palestinian demonstrations in Fælledparken. During the 1st of May celebrations, Justice Minister Peter Hummelgaard, Social Democrat, faced loud protests from pro-Palestinian demonstrations. The crowd used whistles, drums, and horns, making it difficult for him to deliver his speech. Demonstrators carried Free Palestine signs and flags and made offensive gestures. Augusta Atla, an art historian, said she felt physically uneasy and that the environment was hostile and intimidating. According to Danish Palestinian filmmaker Omar Shergawi, the protest was intended to voice their disapproval of the Danish government's support for Israel and armed sales. Hummelgaard prompted a two-state solution in spite of the clamor, but the message was mostly lost. Second, Kirkeminister, Minister for Ecclesiastical Affairs, criticized the double standard on October 9th of 2024. Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen's call for anti-Semitic protest in public was endorsed by Kirkeminister Morten Dahle from the Liberal Party. He drew attention to a double standard that treats Israel differently than other countries, especially those with a majority of Muslims. Dahle admitted that safety concerns prevent many Danes from speaking up. Sikander Sadiq, a former member of parliament, stressed the importance of differentiating between antisemitism and criticism of Israel. He pointed out that protests should allow for criticism of Israeli policies, especially those pertaining to Gaza, while simultaneously supporting Jewish civilians. Third, antisemitism on the internet rises. Since the October 7th of 2023 Hamas attack on Israel, the number of Facebook comments with anti-Semitic content has increased sevenfold. According to research from Nordic Safe Cities and the Jewish community in Denmark, 10,189 of the more than 21 million comments examined were anti-Semitic, nearly of all which were posted after October 7th of 2023. In addition to being more common, comments were also much more violent, including overt calls for violence, according to Lasse Jørgensen of Nordic Safe Cities. Many Danish Jews now hide religious symbols and refrain from openly participating in public discourse, according to Inner Rosen Jewish community. Kirkeminister Dahlin demanded drastic measures such as increased awareness, education, and harsher penalties for hate crimes. Fourth, Justice Minister remarks on police data on October 4th of 2024. Anti-Semitic incidents have sharply increased, according to Justice Minister Peter Hummelgaard. Between October 7th of 2023 and October 1st of 2024, 261 hate crimes against Jewish people were reported, according to new police data. However, only 59 of those reports resulted in charges. Brian Arley Jacobson, a lecturer in religious sociology, observed that anti-Semitic incidents worldwide increased during Middle East conflicts. Hummelgaard underlined the significance of state protection and emphasized that Danish Jews should not be held accountable for events that occurred thousands of kilometers away. Fifth, Folketinget strengthens legal measures on June 25 of 2024. The Danish government and all parliamentary parties announced 12 new initiatives against anti-Semitism. These initiatives include increased punishments in specific areas or times where hate crimes, including anti-Semitic ones, carry sentences that are up to 50% more severe. Improve records of anti-Semitism on the Internet. Education programs such as enhanced instructional materials for schools and funding for research on new anti-Semitism. Cultural events that give students the chance to visit Holocaust sites in order to gain a deeper understanding of history. All citizens must be able to live in safety, according to Justice Minister Peter Hummelgaard, who emphasized that Danish Jews are an integral part of the country's cultural and historical fabric. Sixth, Jewish community. Largest wave of anti-Semitism since 1943. February 22 of 2024. According to Henry Goldstein, chair of the Danish Jewish community, there were 121 anti-Semitic incidents in 2023, 101 of which happened after October 7th of 2023. In contrast, there were only 9 incidents reported in 2022. While pointing out that many incidents probably go unreported, Goldstein suggested that Jews refrain from wearing religious symbols in the public to lessen provocation. Seventh, ceasefire offers hope, but anti-Semitism continues. January 17 of 2024. Although experts cautioned that the degree of anti-Semitism may have long-term consequences, Danish Jews expressed relief that ceasefire in Gaza might reduce tensions locally. Many young Jews have experienced harassment online and vandalism at home. Danish authorities and society have offered support, but the underlying prejudice remains, according to Brian Arley Jacobson, religious sociology, and Noah Bachmann-Eisen, Danish-Israeli. Louise Holck, Danish Institute for Human Rights, emphasized the state's responsibility to ensure that Jews in Denmark can live freely. 8th, September 9 of 2025, protests in sports. Protests have grown against Israel's participation in international sports, particularly the Israel Premier Tech cycling team in Vuelta a España. Demonstrators forced the team to remove Israel from jerseys for safety reasons. Experts including Jörg Reger, Aarhus University, noted that sport and politics are closely intertwined, and protests can influence policy or symbolic actions. Though Israel will not be excluded from international competitions. Danish sports authorities also stress that athletes should not be used as political tools. 9th, legal framework for anti-Semitic and hate crimes in Denmark. In Denmark, anti-Semitic crimes and other hate crimes do not have a separate. They are prosecuted under two main principles in the penal code within the legal framework. First, aggravation of ordinary crimes, Section 81, Number 6. Ordinary crimes such as assault, vandalism, motivated by antisemitism are treated as more severe. Judges are required to impose higher sentences within the standard range. Second, hate speech, racism clause, Section 266b. The law covers statements that threaten, mock, or demean a group, including Jews. Penalties include fines, short-term imprisonment, or up to 2 years in prison if made publicly or intended for wide dissemination. Let's look at political measures. Enhanced penalty periods allow police to increase sentences for hate crimes by up to 50%. This applies to all hate crimes, including anti-Semitic offenses, reinforcing Denmark's commitment to protect vulnerable minorities. 10th, October 9 of 2025, Israel and Hamas agreed to the first phase of the Trump peace plan. Israel and Hamas have reached an agreement on the first phase of peace plan spearheaded by US President Donald Trump. Trump made the announcement on his social media platform, Truth Social, and both Israel and Hamas have since confirmed it. The plan is set to be firmly approved by the Israeli government under Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Disagreements come just over 2 years after Hamas's October 7th of 2023 attack on Israel, which triggered a bloody conflict and severe humanitarian consequences for civilians in Gaza. The first phase of the peace plan is expected to ensure the release of all remaining Israeli hostages and the return of Israeli forces in Gaza to an agreed-upon line, include the release of Palestinian prisoners and the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza, facilitated by mediators including Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey. Full details of the agreement are pending, and it remains unclear if any adjustments were made during recent indirect negotiations in Egypt. Key points from Trump's 20-point plan. Immediate ceasefire. All military operations, including airstrikes and artillery bombardments, are to be suspended. No annexation or occupation. Israel will not annex or occupy Gaza. Freedom of movement. Residents may leave Gaza voluntarily and return freely. Economic reconstruction. A US-backed economic plan will aid Gaza's rebuilding. Hostage return. All remaining hostages, alive or deceased, will be returned within 72 hours of Israel's acceptance. Political framework. The US will facilitate dialogue between Israel and the Palestinians to establish peaceful coexistence. International Stabilization Force. The US, in collaboration with Arab and international partners, will establish a temporary peacekeeping force in Gaza. Amnesty for Hamas members. Those disarming and committing to peace will be granted amnesty. Prisoner releases. Israel will release 250 life-term prisoners and 1,700 detainees from Gaza. Humanitarian access. Aid will be distributed via the UN without interference from any other party. Let's look at reactions and next steps. Israel. Netanyahu plans to convene his cabinet to formally approve the agreement, emphasizing the return of Israeli hostages as a national priority. Hamas confirmed the agreement, noting that it includes a ceasefire, withdrawal of Israeli forces, humanitarian aid, and prisoner exchange. Hamas also thanked mediators Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, and President Trump. Hostages. Of the 48 remaining Israeli hostages in Gaza, 20 are reported to be alive, and Trump indicated they are expected to be released soon. Public reaction. Early celebrations erupted in both Gaza and Israel, with videos showing dancing and jubilation in Khan Yunis and Tel Aviv, particularly at Hostage Square. This milestone is viewed as a potential turning point in the conflict, but experts and observers caution the long-term stability will depend on careful implementation and monitoring. Conclusion: what this means for Jews in Denmark. The impact of the Middle East war is being felt deeply within Denmark's Jewish community, which has experienced a transformation from a distant geopolitical conflict to a local climate of fear. Reports of anti-Semitic incidents have caused tension and uncertainty. We surged to levels not seen since 1940s, leaving many Danish Jews questioning their safety and sense of belonging in a country long known for tolerance and equality. Community leaders, including the head of the Jewish community in Denmark, Henry Goldstein, have urged members to be cautious, even advising against wearing visible Jewish symbols in public. This guidance reflects not just concerns for personal safety, but also the painful reality that Jewish identity has again become politicized and contested in public spaces. While Denmark's law formally protects against hate crimes and imposes tougher penalties for anti-Semitic offenses, many in the community fear that legal measures alone cannot undo the growing hostility. Demonstrations linked to war in Gaza have intensified emotions on all sides and in some cases spilled over into acts of intimidation or hate speech. For Denmark as a whole, this situation poses a broader societal challenge: how to maintain the values of free expression, human rights, and security for all, without allowing global conflicts to divide communities at home. For Danish Jews, it's a moment of profound reflection. Their history in Denmark stretches back centuries, marked by coexistence, contribution, and resilience. Yet today, the coexistence feels fragile. The echoes of the Middle East war have stressed that no nation is entirely insulated from the world's divisions, and that the promise of safety for minorities must be actively protected, not just presumed. Thanks for watching Danish-InfoNews TV. This special edition shows the impact of the Middle East conflict on Denmark. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest report and expert insights. DR, Denmark's radio provides our coverage with reliable reporting.